Thank you. First, I will tell you that the game is not released yet, so it's kind of strange to do a post-mortem of a game that is not completely finished, but it's interesting. So, yeah, the game is called My GlobZ Mucho Party. It's a party game for iOS and Android devices. So before we start, if you wonder how to become a speaker, just come every year, because that's what I did since the very first edition. And I would like to thank everybody from the Casual Connect team. So before getting into more details, I think the best is to show a very short trailer of what the game is, so you have a better idea of what it is. So you see two players playing at the same time on the same screen. You have lots of different mini games, 30 of them. Lots of games are played just by using one button. Even if you have the whole screen, the simpler the better. This one is like a match 3 game. So, how did we end up doing this game? So, a few words. I won't get into much detail, but we started a long time ago, and we do work. We have always done work for hire as the biggest source of revenue, and then we've always also developed our own games on the side. And one of these games got some critical and popular success in the past. It was called GlobZ.com. So over the years, so this is a screen of the game. As you can see on the right, it's a very simple game, and it's a turn-based strategy game, very simple. So on the right, it's football or soccer, would say the US people. And over the years, we ported the game to DSiWare in Europe, US and Japan, where the game was popular. We got some prizes, finalists, and the Milton is more a French award. And after the game was released on iOS too, as freemium, and it was a complete failure, so we hate freemium since. I'm joking. But we made a mistake, so I wanted to share the mistake. We tried to sell some game content, and everybody told us afterwards it doesn't work. So people say you can sell everything in freemium, but except game content. So, and lastly, we released that game as a small. It's a arcade puzzle game, and the users like it, but it didn't really work. So the question was what to do next in a world where people play GTA, King, Candy Crush Saga, and Flappy Bird, and you have more than 1 million applications out. So it's always difficult to choose. So we thought about what we as a team liked to play together. So you can see our pictures. We have 4 guys on the top. You can see our pixel images. So you have this crazy Japanese game that was out a long time ago on arcade, as you can see on the upper left. And it's also on PlayStation 1 and 2. And so it's a lot of mini games. I think there are 70 mini games. And it's a lot of fun playing. It's multiplayer. You play 2 people at the same time. So after thinking about what you like, you have to think about if it's a good idea or not. So for us, it seemed like a good idea because the production of mini games could be, as I say, asynchronous. I mean, we could do some games in the spare time. Doing mini games is like doing game jams all the time. You have a kind of excitement. And at first we thought that this kind of crazy art is really easy to do. It takes only a very short amount of time. So we thought it would be easy. And then we thought that this kind of collection of games was a good idea for a premium game. Because as a small team of 4 guys, we thought that we could not compete with Supercell or King or whoever to be the next game that people would play from all day long, like from the morning to the evening. So after we went to kind of a niche game that was a local multiplayer game, and after that we looked at the App Store and we found there was not too many games like that. So before we started, we made some promises. So we had a reference, which is not usual for us, but it was not by any means, the idea was not to do a clone, but having a reference is interesting when you doubt about something. You say, what would these guys do in their game? So at first it's really interesting. We would do a lot of play tests also. That's what all the time, and this was not obvious for us. We never did that before. Speak about the game. That's what I'm doing right now. Working with real peer people, because in the past I've done that myself, and I think it's not a good idea because you are too emotional about the game, and sometimes I would answer journalists and everything, and everybody would say, don't do that, but I would do it anyway. So it's good to have someone in between. And for finance, we got some money from in France, you can, if you do a nice application, and then it's reviewed by a commission of people, and they can give you some money to help you doing the game. So the first concept was that these are images from the first the application we made. So you can see the influence from the Bishi-Bashi game. It's still there. Then after we had another direction that was more like our usual old Flash and vectors graphic design, but we like that style, but it's not really now everything that looks too much like Flash is not really appreciated. So, and plus at first the players were supposed to be differentiated by the avatars on the upper right, like the orange guy and the blue guy. So, and we found out that these were not really very easy for the players to identify, like I'm the orange guy with 2 eyes and you're the blue guy with 1 eye. You could forget that from one day to the other, one session to the other. We found out also that at first we had these little sketches of all the ways of playing together on the same device, like, and we found out only the 2 on the top were funny, and also that switching between games was not funny at all. Like you had to sit next to each other or sit in front of each other, so it was not good. So in fact, we kept only the 2 on the top. We tried to maximize the players' interactions and not having, because on I didn't mention that, but you have many games that provide a 2-player mode as an add-on or feature. Even, for example, Fruit Ninja on the iPad version, the screen is split in 2, and you can play. But then the 2 players play the solo regular game on each side, and you don't have really an interaction between them. It's nice, but it's so. As the whole thing for us was doing a local multiplayer, we wanted to have a lot of interactions. Even for testing, we started adding AIs. I mean, players that are you can play computer players, and we ended up having 3 levels: easy, medium, and hard, and that was good for testing. And and it's good also if you're to practice the game or to discover the game. And we found out also that a party game can be frustrating for game designers because it has to be really simple. So during prototyping, we did a lot of games, but some of them, like these ones and maybe a few others, were really strategic, like tabletop games, and it was completely out of the party game format. So we had to, it was really fun to make, and some of them were really nice to play, and it's a kind of difficult choice. So at the end, as you can see on the top, we say to ourselves, okay, we'll do a sequel sometime that will be called Mucho Strategy, and we will put all these games and more, other games like that. So it was a way of like imagining a new side project was a way of cutting content, which is always difficult. It's really difficult to cut things. And then we started the production in January of 2013, and we had some time until May, which was unexpected because we thought we would be in a asynchronous production, as I said, but in fact we had some time by the time. So it was new also because we had to make a lot of choices in a row and in a really fast pace. So, and but then in May we had some work for hire that was waiting for us, so we had to stop the production. And by the time a lot of things were not really set in the game, and so we went into the classic project life cycles. Like at first, really the enthusiasm and everything, and then, in fact, the production stopped when we were like getting down in the curve. So it was kind of difficult to go back, and I'll explain it later. And you have that other huge force that brings you down over time, because at first everything is ideal, nice and funny and everything, but over time. When the game launches, sometimes you've played it too much. So, but still, playtests are a good way to bring back enthusiasms, see people having fun playing the game. So I'll rapidly show different directions. This was more like the crazy one with bitmaps, but bitmaps like backgrounds like that are great, but you don't really. These are stock images. You can even see the watermark still. It was just tries. And it's great to try, but you don't really master what you just pick an image and it works or it doesn't work. So it's kind of frustrating. So what were the conclusions of the pose? Playtest showed kids really enjoyed the game. That was not expected. The game was not really designed for kids. Several people I showed the game to, like, I called them marketing gurus, into that people that are into everything and freemium and everything, told me kids are, if you go in the kids or family direction, it will be better for your game. So, and it's true that if you want to do, we do a lot of work for hire, and all of the games we do are premium games, but it's different because they feature characters that kids know. So they ask the parents to buy the games because of the characters, which is not our case. But still, premium is okay for kids. Sorry. But then at the end we found out that multiplayer is only fun when the two players are about the same level. Otherwise, it's not really fun. And in some games, like Go or golf or different games, there are ways to handle that with handicap. So we added that in the game. So we have 3 categories of players, like beginners and intermediate and good players, and then the games balance when there is a difference between the two. So rapidly, these are so the consequences. So it's more kids friendly in terms of design, and this was a strong idea that we had at first. We had that idea that every image of the game would have to be a would have to embed the signature of the game, which is not easy when you do mini games and when it's fun to make a lot of different graphic directions. But at the end, I know one a fellow game designer also, when he play tested early version of the game, he said the characters, what we call them the avatars, where you put your picture in. He told us this is really a great feature in the game, so you should put that in every game. So we reworked every game to put the avatars in it, and then at the end you have that that goal that has been achieved. So like here you see a selection of 6 among the 30 mini games, but in each game, in each screenshot of the game, you see the character, so you can see where it comes from. So that was the goal, and we achieved that through the characters. Rapid word about the tools. We are not the 4 guys in the same studio. We are 2 in Paris and 2 are working remotely from home. So we're using Google Drive, which is great for that, and Skype also. But at first we would use the telephone too much, so it was too one-on-one communication. So with Skype we can do conferences, which is better. And at one point also, the documents in Google Drive were too packed with a lot of comments on all the versions of the game. And when we restarted the production after the pause, we erased everything, so it was kind of a fresh start. But Google Drive stores every modification, so if we want to go back to the previous versions, we can. So we use Flash for the graphics, Adobe Air for the middleware, Flash Develop as a IDE, Bitbucket for it's free. Most of all the tools are free except Flash Pro, and we use classic methodologies for development. So and how is the last? So as I said in the beginning, the game is not completely finished. We still have game center sounds and music and several things like that to add, and we found motivation, as I said, in playtest. Seeing people enjoying the game was really good. Showing the game a lot also is a commitment, because you show the game and people ask you when it's going to be out, and you say in a few months, and if it's 2 years later, then it's bad for. It's a kind of a commitment to release it in a short period. Yeah, already said about the communication, get rid of the past and get a fresh start. Avatars is the fun factor, I said it before. And when we had to start over, my initial intuition was to bring back the fun by doing new prototypes, new game, like I said, it's like having a game jam and you can do be creative and everything. But the team was much wiser, and they said we should finish what is not fun first, like the UIs, the menus and everything, and then we will add some more new games. And I think it's a good idea to finish the last fun, even if it's in a difficult period where you lack motivation. But then, yeah, it's like to-do list. When you do a to-do list, you put what is less fun first, and then it's done. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much.
If you have some questions.
Do we have any questions? Okay, maybe I'll ask something. So I have a question about playtests.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly it's local multiplayer game, and you need to see a lot of people playing your game. Is it mostly your friends? You show your game on the show, or you use playtest companies? I don't know. How do you do playtests?
It's a good question. We started with friends and family. Then after it was the shows, and I would say it seems too good to be true, but in almost every playtest you find something interesting, like user, because the games have to be really intuitive. There are maybe not a lot of instructions. So, and even here I saw some people, like several people doing the same thing that they're not supposed to do, but it's not the people that are wrong, like we have to modify the game. So basically it's any any. It was family and friends first, but then after it's everyone. And then after, sometimes we tape it, which is really good, like with kids. And kids are really great testers. Also, we had at one time we had a bug because they were playing on the sofa, and by jumping on the sofa, it would make a rotation on the iPad, and then that would issue a bug. So that's not something that you can do on your desk or playing normally, I would say. But they were like jumping and everything, so that would start a rotation of the iPad, so of the screen. So we had a bug. So it's and then filming is nice to for sharing with the rest of the team. But you can see a lot of things by playtesting. So.
Have you ever tested on random people on the streets, like giving them iPads?
Not yet. That was a plan. At one time we had an intern, and we even had that idea of having hidden camera in the top of our office to capture them playing from the top without seeing their faces and everything. But we didn't do that. But that was a plan. Oh, I was thinking about going to Apple stores. Because when you have some an Apple Care appointment, sometimes you wait, and people just look bored and waiting. So I just wanted to go there and say, "Hi, can I test the game with people?" But I haven't done it yet. But maybe I will.
Any more questions, guys? No. Okay, then thank
Thank
you
you
for
very
your
much.
presentation.
Thank you.